About 5 or 6 months ago, an actor, Timothée Chalamet, faced major controversy, major backlash for saying that nobody really cares about opera or ballet anymore. But in a weird twist of events, Franz Lebowitz kind of agrees with him. It's not for the reason that you think, though. Franz Lebowitz thinks that opera and ballet, as well as many art forms, actually got substantively worse because of the AIDS crisis. There are a lot of claims that culture critic Franz Lebowitz leaves up to interpretation in the 2010 documentary by Martin Scorsese, Public Speaking. Of these claims, many of them, which being true, are kind of hard to measure. So I went to a Reddit thread on r/AskHistorians in order to get a better understanding of what actually happened, at least in regards to the AIDS crisis. So just to set some ground rules, today's video won't be validating Timothée Chalamet's dumbass opinion. Instead, it's going to be analyzing what actually happened to opera in order for someone like Timothée Chalamet, of all people, to say what he said. Wasn't his mother a ballet artist herself? Hello, my name is Gabe, kind of like the angel, but please don't shoot the messenger. I gave myself the challenge of uploading every day for 100 days straight. Today's day 56. And breaking news, the AC is busted. So I am sweating so fucking bad right now. One of Lebowitz's easiest to prove claims is the fact that the death toll from the AIDS crisis is way higher than the death toll from the most recent war of that time, the Vietnam War. By the time the Vietnam War was reaching its end, total in-theater casualties were struggling to break 60,000. And at that same time, we were already surpassing over 80,000, breaking actually into the hundreds of thousands by 1992 in terms of deaths from the AIDS epidemic. The second claim that Lebowitz makes is that the AIDS epidemic disproportionately affected people who were really good at their craft, which, if you think about it, being really good at a craft is kind of like learning a language. Art is what happens when people artifice or manifest ideas through mediums. In order to make ideas that are coherent, you have to learn the language necessary to communicate those ideas through those mediums, which means you kind of have to know how people communicate. You have to be in the know. You have to network. And so the people that tend to be the best at their craft learn the language necessary to communicate through their art. Lebowitz puts it in a bit of more on-the-nose way. They have to learn how to network. And when you bring a bunch of humans together that have a common goal and common interests, it's kind of hard for them to not have sex. It's just a part of being human. No disrespect to my asexual homies out there, all the ace pride, all the ace love in the world, but this video is about the AIDS epidemic, it's not about you. So anyways, there's a third claim that Lebowitz makes in terms of connoisseurship and expertise. Not only did the artist die off, but so too did the audience, which also meant the critics. That is to say, the qualitative product that was being managed by the critics wasn't being managed because the critics died. Qualitative criticism of art, however, is really hard to measure because art is subjective. It's inherently about your somatic experience. It's inherently about the senses. It's about your own subjective viewpoint. The closest we can get to objective art criticism is really just that about the criticism of the language used. But language is just a craft that's agreed upon by different people. Artists are allowed to have different goals than the audience expects of them, which means you can't objectively say that an art piece is good or bad. Unless, I guess, you were to make an ethical argument that it's good or bad. Nazi art is bad, but it's not bad in the same way that, art that you don't like is bad. This is where my investigation inevitably led me to Reddit, of all places. One of the moderators from r/AskHistorians gave me my next puzzle piece. Cedric Campton is the person that laid a lot of the foundations for this video, so I'm going to be quoting him rather directly, and I hope you're cool with that. I'm not going to read this entire paragraph that Cedric writes, but I will read one sentence that definitely shifted my perspective. Muschamp shares the belief that gay men are more likely to identify and champion things that have been rejected by the masses. Victorian houses, obscure recordings, vintage toys, thus protecting them for a future time when others will come to see their significance. It is so hot in this fuck-ass house. I'm irritated as fuck, 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 I'm irritated as fuck. It is so fucking hard to think right now. It is so hot. Lebowitz would argue that the death of the critic led to the death of opera, whereas Muschamp would say that it was actually the death of the archivist. And what's most fascinating about these perspectives isn't that they're diametrically opposed, because they're not. Both can exist at the same time. In a way, we can read them as two sides of the same coin. We don't really see a lot of conversation about AIDS as a killer of culture, not in the same way that we do with smallpox and its effect on Native Americans. But I want that conversation to change. Mainly because AIDS is still affecting people to this day. It's not the death sentence that it used to be. Treatment has advanced so much in the 3 decades that we've had to, learn about it and fight against it. But there is still no cure. which I don't know if it's even on the horizon. When I see in the eradication of smallpox, I feel a seed burrow into my brain about the eradication of HIV and its comorbid disease, AIDS. The human species has confronted and defeated ancient angry gods before, and I believe that with the right amount of attention, we can defeat it once more. Thank you so much for consuming this video at the rapid pace that you consumed it at. Check in with me tomorrow where I will be live streaming Franz Lebowitz spit roasting Timothée Chalamet herself.